All right. Well, thought our guys. I mean, this is not just my assessment. I think about watch the game, could tell that our guys played really hard and with a good level of physicality, of aggression, of energy, of spirit and emotion. And so I think some of the basketball things that happened for us that were positive, whether on the offensive side or the defensive side, I think we're a byproduct of those factors. So really happy with what the game looked like, what the body of work ultimately looked like. Just wish that you could make a play here or there on either side of it that ultimately affects the outcome of the game. But they have a good team. The number next to their name would say that, but my eyeballs tell me the same. And so, loaded with a lot of talented players. Hopefully, Janai Broom it's nothing too serious. I think it looked like his ankle, but hopefully it's something where he'll be back sooner rather than later. But I thought our guys fought hard and played well and managed the game effectively for a large part of the game.
David on the left. Alan, sorry.
Lamont, you talked a lot this year about growth and just seeing the team get better night to night. How do you balance what you saw today and some of the positives you're talking about with the reality of being 0-3 and kind of needing to get some wins on the board here soon?
We need to get some wins on the board here soon. It's funny. Yeah, I think the reality is that, Bruce and I talked about it before the game. You have to turn the page and get to the next thing because it's such a good league. I mean, there are a lot of different ways that you could be number 8 in the country and come through these last 3 games and be 0-3. So I think the biggest thing is, can you turn the page? I think if we had lost by 27, I think it's harder to turn the page for a young person. I think if you win the game in any way, but by double figures, I think it's a lot easier to turn the page. So I think our performance today probably falls somewhere in the middle of that, and that there's undoubtedly a lot of good things that we did. So growth, I think it mandates that you respond properly to the failures and the obstacles that are there. That's what those things are for, is to incite growth. But it only happens with a proper reaction to that. And so, we talked about that, and hopefully the guys will, and we'll be ready to go. We have an off day tomorrow, but we'll come back and get ready to practice again on Monday.
You mentioned after the Alabama game that you're kind of frustrated about some of your players defensively, maybe not following certain rules that you had. How would you feel that they executed with those rules defensively against a team like Auburn who scores a ton of points?
Yeah, I thought we did a really good job with that. Some of it is basic DNA rules for us, and then some of them are tweaked to a scouting report. So you'll see a couple of things that they scored on that are a play that they have, right? You think about it. And so you do a scouting report, you show the plays that they run, but, Bruce Pearl has certain plays he runs. I have certain plays. Every team has a couple of plays that they run, and they don't choose to run the plays that don't work. They choose to run the plays that work. So those plays are mainly going to work. I hope we can stop 1 or 2 of them, make the shot a little more difficult. They mainly work. So, you can see some of that. We did a much better job in terms of our rules following. There still are a couple, like, Colin gets driven baseline by, I think it was Janai Broom for a layup there. Those are things, a baseline drive, straight line baseline drive. Like, we don't do that. We're not supposed to do that anyway. So there were still a few, but significantly better job of it, and that's why I think we were able to do. And we fought on the glass, and we rebounded, and we were physical. I don't think we backed down in some of those aggressive moves that they made towards the basket, and because of that, you're able to hold an extremely effective offensive group that's also very talented. I mean, you look at them; even some of their first shots were not easy shots, but they made them. That's what really good players do, and so. I thought we did a good job overall, really good job of sticking to our principles and hopefully learning that, hey, these things work. This is who we need to be. Let's try that again.
Noah in the back.
Coach, you've mentioned growth. How close is this team, this version we saw this afternoon, to the team you want them to be?
Well, I mean, from an energy standpoint, there's, if I look at just like I say, not did you make shots, did you run this play effectively? I'm just talking about the totality of what we did out there as a unit, how they interacted, how they moved, how they communicated, how they fed off of one another, how they came out of the game when they got subbed out, what the energy they had when they went back in the game. Like all those things, really close. I mean, really close. If you can bottle that type of thing up, you're gonna win on most of the days that you perform as a shooter reasonably, right? That's why in my past as a coach, I've always, everybody says a little wish before the game maybe, and I always just hope, aside from no injuries, I always hope that, you know, we have a reasonable offensive day. Don't have to break any records. Let's just not have a terrible offensive day. And that normally gets the job done if you're doing some of these other things. And so today we did, and our body of work was there that way. So I think really close in terms of competitive spirit and, like I said, the whole body of what we did as a team. And, again, you know, that's without – you never know when your name's going to get called. And we say it all the time. I'll randomly pick a guy that never plays any minutes at practice, and he's got to – when his name gets called, you got to stand up is what we say. And you got to make a free throw, and if you miss the free throw, the whole team's got to run. And this guy hadn't practiced all day, right? You never know when it's you. You never know when it's your name. So we've tried to live by that, and today we did. We called Arden Conyers' name, and he stood up today for 30 minutes. He hadn't done that, probably hadn't expected that. Benjamin Bozeman-Verdonk goes in there for 10 minutes and is extremely effective in the time that he's in there. That's what we mean when we say that. So some really good performances that way. I think it's really good for our group that you have some guys like that do that. And then you respond properly to it. You got to respond properly to it, and then you know, reap all the rewards of the growth that happens.
That big lineup you had on the floor several times, would you have gone to that regardless of the injury situation? And after seeing how effective they were, is that something that you'll look at more down the road?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it was really working well for us today. Some of it is predicated by the personnel of the other team. There's some teams we maybe can't do that, but our bigger guys are relatively mobile, you know. I'll take the relatively out of there. I think our big guys, just at face value, they're mobile guys. So that allows us to do some other things defensively, and that was good. It can limit you offensively sometimes. That's when we tend to probably call a couple of more plays where you can make sure one guy is standing in a position where he can be effective, versus random basketball, in which case he may be somewhere where he's not as effective. But I thought the big lineup was good for us. We've done it both ways, and that was really good. I mean, it probably helped us rebounding from a rebounding standpoint and physicality standpoint against they played two bigs a lot also. You know, as they got Janai Broom starting the game as the four-man. So it's you know, it was good that we liked to play with a big lineup, and we did that more often.
Jack, Jared, and then we'll get Coach out of here.
With the physicality and aggressiveness, it seemed like Colin right out of the gate came out really, you know, in the paint, driving hard and making some tough shots. What did you see from him today that really stood out?
Yeah, these guys, God bless them. It's amazing how many times when you really emphasize something, and then you go into a game, and in that game, you do those things better, right? The problem with basketball is there are so many things that at some point, it's like if you have a 2-year-old that learned how to walk, you don't expect him to not walk anymore after that and crawl. So guys start doing something, and then you kind of move on to the next thing that we need to get better at. And so we had spent some time in the last couple of practices with attacking downhill, making strong moves towards the basket. This was not just him. This was the entirety of our group. And then what the finish looked like at the end of it. Did we have an angle to score it? Do we need to pump fake? Is there somebody else that's going to be available? So we emphasized that a lot, and obviously you could see that in his game today. You could see that in his game. But he's an aggressive. He's so powerful. He's a very powerful. I reserve that word for you know, you can go in the weight room and push weight around, and that might make you strong. I don't know that that makes you powerful. He's a powerful guy. And so when he gets downhill like that and he uses it to his advantage, which he did today, you could see some of that explosion and power, and so that was good. We need him to be aggressive. We need Nick to be aggressive. I want all of our guys to be aggressive, but certainly Colin is better suited to be a guy that's initiating offense and being aggressive.
Last question, Jared in the back.
Hey, Coach. Following up off that note, the last 2 games before this, you took note of the team's lack of physicality. How do you feel like the team's fight changed today, and how much did Ben's minutes help with that?
Did what? Ben's minutes. Yeah. No, I mean, again, Ben knows where the weight room is. I don't think that's any surprise. So he adds some physicality, particularly on the boards. I thought he did a really good job with that. But I think as a general rule, we had a different mindset. It's still the same guys. I don't know that one guy got stronger from the last game to today's game. It's more mindset. You can be strong or you can play strong. We played stronger today. You know, it might have to do. I said on the radio. I played George Clinton's Atomic Dog at practice, and the guys got a kick out of it. But you know. Listen to the song, by the way. It talks about there's a lot of dogs, a lot of different types of dogs. I don't know what a harmonic dog is, but a lot of different kinds of dogs. And so we got a kick out of it, but the message was what it was. The message was what it was. Like, you got to come out, man. You got to play. You got to be aggressive. That's what this is. It's basketball. Like, the more aggressive you are, the more the whistle favors you. The more aggressive you are, the more times you find yourself in a good position. The more aggressive you are, the more times you rebound the ball when you, all right? And we emphasized that. We talked a lot about that. And then I think again that we saw a significant improvement in that area. We have a great group of guys. They try to do what we ask. They try to do what we ask. And as any coach could only want would be that his guys try to do what they ask. And so we challenged them in that area, and we saw a lot of that tonight. So hopefully as we move forward, again, we can turn the page. They can file it away and use it as the benchmark now as we look back to what the game needs to look like. Thank you.